the Detroit Lions, man, they didn't waste any time after the news of Aiden Hutchinson with making some noise and some news of their own. Alim McNeilll got paid, man. Got paid. 4-year extension. Was it 97 up to $97 million?
It was a 4 years, $97 million with a guaranteed of 55. Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin with that. I'm happy that big fella got paid. I feel like it's a little bit of space in there that says, hey, you know what? Go out there and earn this contract. Go out there and make your play, make it worth the $97 million. We believe you can get there. I'm glad that they locked him up, though, especially with what's going on right now.
The funny thing is, the more that I crunch the numbers, the more that I think about it, the better that this contract ages with me. Because when you first hear almost $25 million a year for Alim McNeilll, I kind of bristled at that for a second, like, damn, that is a lot of money. But when you really look at him, when you really look at how productive that Alim McNeilll was, when you look at last season, he had 5 sacks and was the 8th rated PFF defensive tackle in all of the NFL. All of the NFL, ahead of notable guys such as Vita Vea, Eric Armstead, and Justin, now Nnamdi Madubuike. This season, he had his best game of the year against the Cowboys. He has 2.5 sacks, and overall, when you include his pass rushing numbers, he's also very, very good against the run. One of the key components on stopping running backs up the middle. I think we would all agree with that. And he is the 6th highest ranked PFF defensive tackle, ahead of Madubuike, Jalen Carter, Vita Vea, Eric Armstead, Jeffrey Simmons, and Leonard Williams. The numbers play out that Alim McNeilll is one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL, and that he's going to be a future, probably multiple-time Pro Bowler. And we would all agree that he is one of the key components to why the Lions are so good.
Oh, yeah. It's like the prophecy from the offseason has come true. He is one of those $20 million men, and he's put in the work, and that's why I'm glad to see him get paid. And the culture that Brad Holmes continues to set is that they have their own metric, not just in how they evaluate players, but also in how they're going to pay players. Because, you're hearing other players out there, some Steelers players out there talking about, Amon-Ra being a slot merchant, and you hear people taking shots at the fact that he got paid like he's a real number one when he's just a slot guy. You know what? Brad Holmes and Cole, they do not care about your narratives. They do not care about your outside noise. And I do believe that the Alim McNeilll one, it's a little less controversial to the outside eye, but I do believe it gives him an opportunity to prove that he's one of those dudes. Shout out to Neil, too, for sending this to the group chat from Spotrac. And what I find interesting here is just the split. His $55 million guaranteed ranks him 9th, which is, based on the numbers you stated, it's probably...
that sounds about right.
It's really, I was going to say it's appropriate.
If you were to
it's probably
tell me
a little bit good.
Yeah, if you were to tell me that Alim McNeilll is the 9th best defensive tackle in football, I'd probably be like, that sounds about right.
Yep.
Something like that.
And if he hits the top end, then it puts him 4th behind some big names like Chris Jones, Christian Wilkins, and Nnamdi Madubuike.
Yes, and that's the thing. When you hear that Alim McNeilll is the 4th highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL on an average annual value basis, it seems a little high. Like, for example, he's higher paid than Quinnen Williams, Chase's boy Derek Brown, and Dexter Lawrence, which that obviously, those guys are better than him right now. But when you look at Alim McNeilll, when you look at the rankings, obviously Chris Jones is number 1. He's the best defensive tackle in football. I don't think anybody would argue with that.
Not at all.
But when you look at the next two, you've got Christian Wilkins and Nnamdi Madubuike. Both of them are very good players. Both of them set their career high in sacks last season. But Alim McNeill's playing better than both of them right now. I think Alim McNeill projects to be better this season and maybe a better future player than those guys. I'm a little worried, if I'm a Ravens fan, about Madubuike being a bit of a flash in the pan. You're obviously not worried about that with Wilkins, but with Madubuike, I think he's got to beat some allegations. My point is that Alim McNeill, he could be a top 5 defensive tackle in the NFL as early as the end of this season. And if he does that, and as more players begin to get more deals, I think this contract will age better.
He's also younger than both those people you just mentioned as well.
That's a good point.
Man, those are some good points. You know what? Brad Holmes is cooking, man. What up, though, KG?
No, I agree with everything Sam said. And when you look at the landscape of defensive tackles in the NFL, he's making around market value. I mean, you got Chris Jones, who, of course, is probably the best D tackle in the NFL. He's making around $31 million per year. But everybody else, Christian Wilkins, 27.5. Justin Matabuke, 24.5. Jeffrey Simmons, 23.5. DeForest Buckner, 23. Like Sam said, Leonard Williams, he's just around 21.5. And Kenny Clark around 21.5. And Alim McNeilll is scheduled to make just under 25 million a year. So I think this is right around market value. And if I'm putting my tinfoil hat on, I really think that the Lions are guaranteed to make a move now. Because you look at what they did, I don't think this move happens without the Hutch injury. With Hutch going down, they don't have to necessarily worry about extending him right at this moment. They can take that money, put it towards Alim, lock him up before he hits the free market. And now they know exactly how much they have going into the trade deadline to try to make a move for this team. So I think this almost solidifies that the Lions will make a move at the deadline.
Wow. Because I've seen other people as well believe that it might be something that proves that, you know what, they're just going to kind of do something under the radar. And I know we have some segments ahead that are going to discuss some of Dan Campbell's statements about their strategy. Part of me thinks as well, maybe there's a little bit of gamesmanship, because if the right offer presents itself, hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Well, and the funny thing, too, is that we're seeing Brad Holmes. He's proven that if he drafts you, or even if he doesn't draft you, if he acquires you in the case of Jared Goff and David Montgomery, and you produce, he will reward you in kind. We saw it with Penei Sewell, and we saw it with Amon-Ra St. Brown already, and now we're seeing it with Alim McNeilll. And honestly, when I first heard about the deal, one of my reservations was, man, are they going to have enough to make a big splash move? Which is still what I want, although I would accept something less. But I still would like a splash move, at the very least something like Trey Hendrickson or Harold Landry. Do they have enough? And the answer is, they probably still could.
Absolutely.
This season, the Alim McNeilll extension doesn't affect the cap at all. He's still playing on the last year of his contract. And next year in 2025... it's listed on Spotrac as they have $87 million of cap space, and that does not factor in the Alim McNeilll deal. Let's just say that Alim McNeilll is a $24 million cap hit. That would give you $63 million. And then in the case of that, you would still have the cap to go after somebody big or somebody smaller, sign your draft class, maybe make another free agent signing or two, maybe get another extension or two, and then but then you maybe have to get rid of or let walk guys like Onwuzurike or Derek Barnes or Iffy or Carlton Davis or Kevin Zeitler. Those are guys that you're going to have to make decisions about now, but the decision has already been made on Alim McNeilll, and he has earned an extension with the way he has played in the last season plus. He has. Is it $24 million a year? That's debatable, but I think he can play his way into that being a very good deal.
Yeah, and you got to think about it. When you compare the guaranteed money to where he can get, they're telling him, go and earn $24.5 million.
Yeah.
If you got guys who have played against some of the best tackles in the league telling you that, yes, he's worth $20 million a year, what's $4.5 million? That's that go get it money. And what have we seen from Alim McNeilll? He's gonna go get it. I love the fact that they also you just remove any aspect of just a contract year bump. You got your money, you got paid. Alim McNeilll, I believe you give him that money if you know your guys, if you know, nope, he's a worker. We know exactly what he is. Yeah. You know, and just kind of seeing Alim McNeilll at some of the other events, because he's connected to the Boys and Girls Club. Jerome Bettis does a lot of work with the Southeast Michigan location. He's just a guy that you want here. Yeah. And so I'm glad that they locked him in and are telling him, hey, look, you know what? This is what we believe you can be. Top 5 in the league.
Sure. And I want to go back to this really quick. One of the reasons why I brought up PFF, a lot of people disagree on its importance. I'm obviously a PFF guy. A lot of people, both at this network and in the chat, are not. I do think it's very valuable, though, when it comes to defensive tackles, especially when it is supplemented by the eye test. We've seen Alim McNeilll wreck games. We've seen him wreck games both rushing the passer and just being a black hole in terms of stopping the run. And I also think when it comes to defensive tackles, when it comes to certain players like an Alim McNeilll, like a Derek Brown, like a DJ Reader, guys where counting stats don't really tell the whole story, PFF is actually a good metric to use to show how valuable these guys are. Because guys like Alim McNeilll and DJ Reader and Derek Brown, they're never going to be at the top of the sack lists, although Alim McNeilll I actually think might. We'll see about that. He had 5 of 13 games last year. But the point is that they might not be at the top of the sack list or the TFL list or the hits list or the tackles list, but they impact the game better than most defensive tackles in the NFL do. And that's why I think PFF is very valuable for certain position groups more than others.
Hey, chat family, definitely get into the comments right now. Your thoughts about the Alim McNeilll deal. And you put out a video as well last night.
Yeah.
We got up on the YouTube and everything, and it did quite well. Congratulations on that, by the way. But some of these comments, man, they are all over the place. You got, I'm not even going to attempt to read the name, at MJIW, Alim isn't worth it at all, but whatever. And then you got the other aspect of it that just says, you know what, this deal is going to be a great deal by the end of the contract. It's like I'm seeing, and it's multiple comments in here where you see people that are absolutely against it. I didn't even know it was going to be that polarizing. So our chat family, definitely let your feelings be known. Let me get a poll up there. I saw the last one there. They all believe that you're a stash hater.
That is a fact.
That's right. And for the record, if you have some reservations, that one comment was a little like he's not worth it at all.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
something that's something that I can't get down with.
You just
at
ain't
all.
watched him.
Then you just aren't watching, and you're just a hater. But if you're one of those guys that had a few reservations on first listen, I'm not necessarily mad at it because I had a couple too. But that's where I had to really, really dive deep into how good Alim McNeilll is, what his salary is compared to other top defensive tackles, and just what this could actually do to the Lions' future. Because I don't think it's going to hamper them moving forward in terms of who to pay and who not to pay, at least when it comes to the must-haves. I think at this point, nobody is pounding the table that you must re-sign Iffy and you must re-sign Derek Barnes.
Yeah.
Hell, Iffy has done nothing this season and the defense looks fine, and Derek Barnes, what if the defense continues to look great without him?
Yeah.
Those are guys that you can just let walk. No disrespect to them. I appreciate them for their services, but the more you dive into it, and I think the more you see Alim McNeilll play, the better this contract will age.
Yep, and this is why you have the front office that you do right now, and you can trust that those guys are going to make the right moves. Up to this point, what have they given us to doubt?
Yeah.
Up to this point, the most that we've doubted is that, hey, maybe they take some chances on some oft-injured guys, but realistically, I'm not going to sneeze at the strategy because the team is winning. What are we going to talk about?
It works.
The drafts are winning. Most of the free agents are winning. It's just like, you know what? If it works, it works. And yep, thank you, JB. We got that chat in the poll. Definitely, guys, make your voice heard. And Mike G, he says, flannel is our Dan Orlovsky, and that's a good thing.
I mean, I don't know if I'm at that level yet, but, I appreciate that, Mike G.
Wait.
I do my best.
Dan Orlovsky on the Lions or Dan Orlovsky in media? That's a distinction.
Which one?
That's a distinction.
A little bit of both.
Well,
Hey,
Depending on the take. It depends on the take.
I will say this. I didn't cost my team 2 points.
hey,
That's true.
But I'm pretty
Hey.
sure Dan Orlovsky threw at least one touchdown pass with the Lions. I can't confirm that, but I'm sure he did.
Hey, the AJ Hinch take, back of the end zone.
Absolutely.
You ran out the back.
We'll shake hands on that. Yes, I did. Absolutely.